3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Mo Mommy's Mo Problems, your podcast destination for all things mommy. I am your host, Kaylia Flowers, and let's get into some mommy stuff today. I took a couple weeks off because I was feeling like I didn't know what I was doing, and I think I got what is called pod fade, where you just kind of hit a plateau with your podcast, and it just gets a little, I don't know, like boring. I tend to hyperfixate on things for a while and then I like lose interest. Because of that, I've had a lot of projects that don't get finished, and so I've been trying to like finish. So it was important that I came back to this, but I also wanted to take some time to really like think about what it is I'm trying to do. I think in the process of trying to get more subscribers, I'm doing these little shorts and these things and trying to showcase the talents that I have available in my wheelhouse. Somewhere in there, I just ended up doing something different than what I originally was setting out to do. It's very easy for you to start off with good intentions for something, and then for the ego to kind of like just kind of go get in there and like take over the thing. And then it's about like, oh, well, you know, last time I got all these views and I'm not getting as many views this time. And oh, they really liked the vlog, so maybe I should be doing more vlogs. And it's like, okay, well, wait, this is like a page for a podcast. And so I want to lead with like mommies coming together and having a discussion, or me stepping up and having a discussion with you in like the, you know, cyberspace. So anyway, I got a little lost and now I'm back. And I feel like I have a better idea of kind of where I want to go with this. And the dopamine, serotonin is back and it's kicking. So I'm happy to be back, and thank you for sticking around and for being here and hanging out with me. So anyway, the first thing I wrote on here is needing to step it up as a mom, and I do, because I suck. Like I really do feel like I feel like I always say that. I feel like I come on here and I'm like, I suck, but no, like for real guys, like I'm not. I may have shared it in the past, but I do struggle with ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was maybe like 8 years old. I was on medication for a really long time, and I was on Concerta, if anybody knows what that is. And it was kind of a high dosage, so I did feel like a zombie. Like I was just walking around, dry mouth, lost a lot of weight, wasn't eating, really hard to sleep. Basically like speed for kids, bro. Like it's crazy how quickly they just like, we're like, oh, it's ADHD, give her some medication, she's good. But I did stop taking them like kind of right before I graduated high school. Not because I was like supposed to, just because like I didn't have a desire to go back and get more. And honestly, in that time of my life, I was like not taking care of myself. So I just stopped taking them. And then I started noticing that, other things were going wrong. Like I have issues sometimes with like getting really anxious and pulling my hair. And this is something that I've looked up and like talked to people about, and I know that it's just like an impulse control thing where it's like I need to like control that impulse. And so I think it all goes back to this ADHD piece that I haven't really been dealing with in an effective way. And I can say that exercising helps. I've been exercising a lot, and I need to be keeping myself busy, because if I have too much time sitting in one spot, like that is when I really am just like not helpful to anyone. But in the process, I think I've like taken on like 6 things that I'm trying to do that I really want to go well, that I'm like pouring my self-worth into, and I'm like, okay, this is my self-worth right here, and so everything has to be perfect, otherwise like it's gonna be gone. And so I'm trying really hard to like achieve my own personal goals and to like do all the things on my vision board that I said I was gonna do and actually follow through. But in there, I'm like missing out on some of my kids' stuff. But I was talking about how my son was acting out at the time. He was like getting into stuff, stealing stuff, and just being ridiculous. And he had stopped for a second, and then I realized that he had like started up again. And not as bad, but it was just like little things with his attitude as well. And so, you know, me and my husband were like at a loss. I'm like, bro, what do we do? Like, how do we handle the situation? So I went on Google and I was like, okay, well, like what's going on with my son, blah, blah, blah. And again, it was just a lot of like, well, you know, just be gentle, talk to them. Don't be so hard. Don't be so judgmental. Let them speak. Ask them open-ended questions so they can get a dialogue going. So I'm like, oh God, like this is like really intentional. Like I have to put everything I'm doing down, all my homework, podcast, mommy group, other stuff I'm doing, creative stuff, singing, like all that has to stop for a second so I can like be present and like figure this shit out. So I go, you know, hey baby, like what's going on? I took him for a drive. We were driving around. And I was like, are you okay? Like, are you mad? Are you mad at me? And he was like, I'm a little mad at you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm trying not to like be judgmental. I'm like, why the fuck are you mad at me? I'm not gonna do anything to you. I fucking give you everything. So I'm like, no, don't say that. So I'm driving. I'm like, okay, why are you mad at mommy? What did I do? And he was like, you just don't like hang out with me anymore. And like, y'all, like I really try to hang out with him. Like it's not like I'm just like neglecting him all day long, but like it's not enough, bitch. And like it's crazy that, you know, he called me out and he was like, well, you know, sometimes you read me books and other times you don't. And sometimes we play outside a lot more and then other times we don't. And sometimes we go to the park a lot more and then sometimes we don't. And I'm realizing that like with ADHD, like a huge component is being inconsistent. Like that's the only consistent thing I have is the fact that I'm inconsistent as fuck. And so, you know, it's hard when I'm like this all the time with my emotions too. And then like all over the place with my like attention and like the things that I like focus on. And it's, God, it's hard. So I feel like I'm like juggling like flaming bowling pins and I'm just like trying to do it all. And my son's over here like, hi, what about me? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're good? Like, I just gave you a hug yesterday. What are you talking about? And I just feel really bad. It sucks when your kids can see your shit. Like, I always talk about like letting yourself be seen and like, you know, kind of letting them in on like the hard parts. But like, this is stuff I'm like just now learning about myself and my son's noticing it, which means it's already affecting him, which means that I'm like destroying him already. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm destroying my son. Like, here we go again. Like, it doesn't matter. Like I do really good for like a month and then another month comes and I just have a shitty month and it's hard. And I mentioned it in something else, but like I've been like putting myself out there with these projects and kind of getting my ass beat a lot and just having to just deal with the fact that like, you know, people come and go and not everybody supports you and people jump real hard to support other people and not so much you. And so my self-esteem, like I wrap it up in like other people's approval of me and validation of me. And so when I'm not getting that or when I'm getting the opposite of that and people are leaving or like unfollowing or unsubscribing or don't want to talk to me anymore or being weird after I thought we had an established thing, like that adds to my self-esteem. And then I go into these pits of depression. And so it's like 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, bro, things are going great. And then as soon as like something goes wrong, I'm like, oh. And then something else goes wrong and I'm like, oh. And then work sucks. And then like my son is telling me I'm not doing enough. And then like me and my husband are arguing. And then I'm like, fuck, I feel bad about myself. And then everything comes to a screeching halt. And it's, all of that is inconsistency. Because then I'm like, now I'm stuck in the room. Now I don't want to get out of the house. Now I don't want to go to the park. I don't want to go play on the floor with my son. And he's seeing it and he's missing out. And it's hard. So, you know, I did take a step. I went to a doctor's appointment today, actually, to see if I could get back on my ADHD medication. I have to get my paperwork from, like, the doctor I had when I was, like, 14, 15. And try to get that paperwork to prove that I was diagnosed with ADHD, so I'm not, like, some crackhead trying to get drugs. And then present that to them, and then we have to do a whole thing. But, like, they make it really hard for you to access your paperwork. Like I have to go make another appointment with Kaiser, get the form that I have to fill out, that the doctor has to fill out, that we have to send it back to that doctor, that he has to fill out, and then I have to go there and pick it up. And then, and even then that's just the paper. And then they have to send them the paperwork that they need. And then we start the process of getting me on his medication. So it's like, gosh, it's gonna be really hard. When I do receive medication, I just really care about being able to stay myself, because that's the hardest part about if you're somebody that takes medication for anything, even antidepressants, anti-anxiety, it's all kind of the same deal where you just feel numb and you don't feel things and you're not yourself, and everyone is like, and they're all like living life around you and you're there, but it's like you're offline a little bit. It's weird. I can't really explain it. And yeah, with ADHD medication, it's very much like you're like I felt like I was just like this. People are talking to me and I'm like looking at them and I'm talking, but I can't like make facial expressions. I was on the debate team in high school and I couldn't go to my tournaments over the weekend having taken a pill. Like I wouldn't do a good job with my performance because it doesn't allow me to access the side of myself that I need for that to be like, whoa, all manic and win like I wanted to, you know? Yeah, it makes me feel vulnerable and full of shame to hear him call me out on being inconsistent, you know? Like when he says the words, like, I mean, he didn't say the word inconsistent, but he's like, oh, you know, sometimes you're like this, sometimes you're not. And I'm like, fuck, like, I need to get it together. Like, that's not cute. So I'm just trying to work on it. But I do want to say something about how looking at yourself deeply is helpful for growth. And it hella sucks, but it is really good for growing. And I think that the only way we can like climb and ascend into where we're supposed to be is if we really look at ourselves in the mirror. And I think that that's really hard for a lot of people to do. Like, the only reason I have the amount of self-awareness I have at this point in my life is because in 2020, the world shut down and I had no one but me. And I like was just, I looked and saw myself for the first time, like my actual self, not like the me that I'm like fronting on social media or the me that I put out there so that like people can like, I'm palatable for people, like the truth of who I was. And I did not like her. I was like, bitch, ew. Just stanky. Like that's the best word I could use for it. And it broke me down to admit that. And I went into a huge depression, really, really bad. Definitely had some suicidal ideation. I wasn't close to like acting anything out. Like I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna go that far. But I definitely was wanting to like check out and not be here for like if I could have just like not been on the planet for like 6 months, you know, or like maybe a year, like that's just kind of where I was at that time. And it's crazy to think about because I'm nowhere near like that. But sometimes I still feel like I'm not doing well. And I'm like, bro, you didn't want to be on this planet. You're doing well. But in order to get there, like, I feel like you have to look at yourself in the mirror and you have to really like take all the pieces of your shadow work. I don't know if you've heard of shadow work, but it's basically like Carl Jung, some kind of philosopher, like had this idea about the shadow self and how like the unacceptable parts of us we like push deep down, and then like that's what we use for projection and judgment on other people. So like, you know, we're really critical of other people in the same areas that we're probably really critical of ourselves in, and we see the shitty parts of other people that we have buried down in our shadow, and that's why we notice it in other people. And so working on your shadow or doing shadow work is basically like trying to incorporate those things into your personality and bring them back online and use them in healthier ways so that you can like be a well-rounded person, because otherwise your shadow just like kind of secretly wreaks havoc in your life and creeps up around the back of your neck and shit. So I'm in this era now where I'm trying to incorporate my shadow and bring those things in. And part of that is being honest about like where I'm at with my motherhood and how like I'm lazy as fuck sometimes and really, you know, hypomanic other times. And like, that's confusing for kids to see. They're like, wow, today mommy has a lot of energy and she's like, whoa, and I'm going to the park and vacuuming and we're having fun and we're painting and we're playing outside and we're doing all these cool things and we're doing music. And then it's usually like a week later, I'm just like offline in the room, everyone's watching TV, you know, And I talk about how it's okay to like be like a good enough mommy. And so at the end of the day, it's like they still have a good mom. I still love them. I still get up. I still feed them. And I still give them hugs and tell them I love them even on the days that I don't want to be out of the bed. But I'm definitely not giving them consistency. And that is something that I think helps kids thrive. I guess a huge thing right now I'm trying to work on is balance and like paying attention to those things and carving that time out for myself, but also like when I have those moments with my kids or with my husband, actually leaning into them and like giving them my full attention and being present. But that's hard when you're like, squirrel, squirrel, all the time. And that's basically the ADHD brain. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that once I get onto medication, maybe I'll do an episode about like how it's working and how it's all coming along. But any neurodivergent mommies out there, just know that I see you and we do our best for our kids, man. We're not perfect though, but we're trying. So yeah, having ADHD, raising a kid with ADHD and trying to balance everything is really hard, but we can do it. And you can do it. So moving on, I want to talk about our mommy movie moment for this episode. And I want to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It won a lot of awards. Very good movie. It's really hard to kind of describe what happens in this one without completely giving away how cool and like awesome the movie is, especially when it's your first time and it's like a novel experience. So I'm not going to like tell you what happens necessarily, but I am going to say that it's about a sort of traditional, controlling, judgmental, old school, intolerant mother who like figuratively pushes her daughter too far in real life, and then that is kind of re-illustrated in like another realm. I don't know if I said that good enough, but like with her daughter, oh gosh, I don't want to give it away. Basically, a mother who is like in debt and trying to like do her taxes is all of a sudden like a part of this other universe and multiverse and realizes that like she is supposed to be this like chosen one to save the multiverse from this maniacal, chaotically evil character, Jobu Tupaki, I think that's how you say it. Don't quote me, I could be wrong. So Jobu Tupaki is this maniacal, chaotically evil sort of character who is wreaking havoc in the multiverse and out here killing everybody in these streets. And basically this ordinary mom who's like not nice to her daughter at all, or anything that her daughter's about, and she's just very judgmental kind of woman, very old school. I think a lot of people can relate to having that kind of mom. She is now being told by her husband, who is not her husband. Like he pops into this other person who's like in her husband, or pops into her husband. Again, I really don't know how to explain this without you having seen it, so you have to go watch it for yourself. But basically, he's like, hey, it's me. Not your husband, but your other husband from a different universe. Shut up. Listen to my words. This is going down, blah, blah, blah. We don't have a lot of time, blah, blah, blah. She's like, what? And then he's like, you. And like, we find out as the movie goes along that she has to like defeat this Jobu Tupaki character. And there's like some plot twists and cool stuff that go on. But basically, in that process, the mom has a realization that she basically like has no empathy for other people, and has lived an unfulfilling life, and feels like for a while, I think she would fantasize about all the other versions of herself that she could have been if she would have just made different choices. And then realizing that like, if you have the best of everything everywhere all at once, then it's madness. And that's what ends up happening. So it's like, you know, we have the life we have for a reason. I think you walk away with a lot of messages, but I do think that a really strong pull-through thread through the whole film is the mother-daughter story. And there's just a really beautiful turning point that happens in the mother's character right around the end of the film. And she just gets to reconcile with her daughter. It's not even like a full reconciliation because like that's not realistic, you know? You can't undo like 20 years of not being loving to your child and fix it with a conversation, but it definitely like gets that ball rolling. And God, I just broke open watching it. It's a very good movie. Very all over the place too. Let me see. Yeah, so basically she realizes that love and acceptance and being grateful is the answer. And that's like a really beautiful overarching thing of the whole film. But anyway, yeah, there's so much healing in this movie, but it definitely makes you work for it. I'm gonna read off this for a second. Written and directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. Scheinert. The movie is filled to the max with dark and bizarre humor, absurdity, drama, and literally serves looks the entire time. You guys, the hair and makeup, like, I don't know. I should have did more show prep. But I did show prep about, like, the director and, like, who was in it. But I did not get a chance to check out who did the hair and makeup. But the hair and makeup artist of Everything Everywhere All at Once just did the damn thing. It was very interesting and entertaining watching the different looks that got incorporated with all the different universes and versions of people, and showing that they're different versions of them with like the clothes that they're wearing and how bizarre their makeup is and some of that. It's really, really cool. The mother's character, I think her name is Mrs. Wong, and she's played by Michelle Yeoh, and it also stars Stephanie Hsu, Ke Huy Quan, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jenny Slate, and Harry Shum Jr. The film ends with both mother and daughter experiencing very satisfying and well-placed turning points in both their relationships to each other and for the daughter with herself. Without giving too much away, I just want to say that if you haven't seen this movie, you need to see this movie as a mom and as a person. And I really just enjoy the almost comic book nature to the film and its quirkiness. I also think it's been a while since I've seen a truly original idea for a movie with like truly original characters and the plot point and the storyline, and all of it just felt very fresh and something I've never seen or heard of before. Yeah, I feel like we've been seeing a lot of remakes of movies that were already successful once or twice, sometimes 3 times, and they just keep remaking these movies, and I'm like, what? Why? These same directors are all doing the same movie over and over, you know? They're like, oh, you know what we need? We need another Beauty and the Beast. You know, we need another Disney movie that has already been done like 3 different times. Like that's, you know, I don't know. I'm over it. So it was nice getting a breath of fresh air like this movie kind of provides. I also feel like you should watch this if you have any weirdness in your relationship with your mother, like especially if your mom struggles with being like tolerant of your lifestyle or your sexual orientation, or just the fact that you're not living up to their traditional idealized version of whoever you're supposed to be or whatever version of yourself you're supposed to be. And I think that there's a lot of layers to it and it's really good. And I just applaud some of the movies coming out, like even in Gantho, where the generational stuff that gets passed down and is not good or healthy is getting addressed and people are apologizing. I think a lot of us are due some of the fucking apologies, and it's nice to see. So anyway, yeah, movie's a big breath of fresh air to me. The stunts, the wardrobe, hair and makeup, acting, directing, fight choreography, stunts. I think I said stunts already, but whatever. Visuals, it was all a 10 out of 10. It also beautifully features Asian actors in a way that we don't always get to see, so I thought that was really exciting. And it was a truly successful project, so much so that the film won hella awards and basically snatched the wig off of the film world altogether. And it's you. Last year, I believe. It won, check this out, 7 of its 11 Academy Award nominations. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. It also received 10 BAFTA nominations, including 13 Critics' Choice Movie Award nominations, winning 5, 8 independent nominations, winning 2, and it was named one of the top 10 films of 2022 by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute. It also won top prizes from the Directors Guild of America Awards, Producers Guild of America Awards, Writers Guild of America Awards, and Screen Actors Guild Awards. The last of which won a record-breaking 4 awards, and the list goes on and on. I stole some of these from Wikipedia, but I thought it was really neat seeing all the awards that this movie made, and it's just well written. They truly do believe it, and some people were salty that they won a lot, but it was like a really, really well written movie. Ooh, my baby just woke up. Yeah, I can't explain how emotional the movie makes me. We purchased it through Google TV. And that's how you can watch it. So if you're trying to look for it, if you've never seen it, Google TV, I think we paid like maybe $22 total with like tax. And now we own it, and I watch it. And I watched it actually before filming this just so I could get a refresher, and it's a really, really good movie. So yeah, go watch it. Yes, I'm just in awe of the film and how well it was written and executed. I already said that. They did that. So go watch it if you haven't. You will not regret it. Everything, everywhere, all at once. But be warned, there are some adult themes. So if you're going to watch it with your kids, like, there's a couple of parts that you might not want them to see. Moving on. We're going to close it out with Kicking It with Kay. I just wanted to talk about how I've been struggling a little bit. Well, not struggling. I don't want to say struggling, but I've been wanting to cut down on my drinking. I'm turning 27 in July, and I'm feeling like my time with alcohol is ending because it serves no purpose in my life besides making me really sleepy and making me really sloppy. Sleepy and sloppy. That's it. Those are the things. And like, I very rarely have fun anymore. I have to drink a lot of it now to like even really feel like, whoa. And then by then it's like not cute. And it keeps me from like losing weight. Like I'm not really trying to lose weight anymore anyway, but like it just makes you really bloated. It's not good for your body. Your body holds on to more water. I'm more dehydrated throughout the day sometimes from like a weekend with more drinking involved. And yeah, I guess what really like had me like land here at this destination was after my wedding. Like I got really drunk at my wedding, not on purpose. I was just kind of drinking all day. Like in the morning I had some like wine in the dressing room, and it was a lot of waiting at first. So I was drinking like a couple glasses of wine. I did not eat really. I didn't eat much the night before because I was nervous. And that morning I didn't eat breakfast. I just went straight over there to the venue, and I had my kids with me, and they ate, but I did not eat. And I was just doing my makeup and not really worrying about that. And then like, man, like they kept serving me wine while I was like standing waiting to like walk down the aisle, and like they were just really trying to make sure that I was taken care of. But like I do feel like you take someone that likes to drink and you're like, would you like more wine? I'm like, yeah, period. So I just kept drinking more wine. I think I had like three little cups of wine while I was just waiting. And then I took a shot with my mom before I went to walk down the aisle. And then when I got done, everybody was like, I want to get you. Like when we went around the back to wait, we took pictures. I took photos with my husband right after we said I do and all that. And then we had gone back to the like dressing room area so that we could wait to like do the big entrance for the wedding party. And while we were back there, I was taking shots with my family and his family. And it was so much fun. And then right about then is when I was like feeling like I was drunk, and I was like, ooh, I need to chill. But then I got out there and it was like, wow, like everybody was like giving me so much attention, so many like cameras flashing. There were bubbles and shit, like so much sound. People were hugging me and like dancing with me, and like my work friends were like partying with me, and people were like, let me get you a drink. Drinks were free for me. And then by the time it was time to eat, I didn't even eat because it was like they did the speeches, and I was listening to the speeches and not eating because I can't like focus on two things at once. And then like it was time for me to sing. And then when I was done singing, I went right back to dancing. And then they took the plates away kind of early, I might add. And then I was like, damn. And before I knew it, like I didn't really like get blackout drunk until like once I got home. And it wasn't even like I don't even want to say that. I just like was really, really, really sleepy by the end of the night. And I don't remember a lot of like, I didn't get to like go and talk to people and consciously be present and like be like, thank you so much for coming, and just bask in that day with my family and my friends, because I wasn't like online all the way, and that's a huge thing. And I don't like not knowing what I said, and my friends being like, oh, you were so funny at your wedding towards the end of the night, you were so much fun. And I'm like, wait, why was I fun? Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't like that. I don't like feeling like, oh, I did that? Oh, or like seeing videos of me and I'm like, I don't remember that. Because it's like, it gets spotty. And that whole week leading up to the wedding, I was also drinking a lot because I was on my bachelorette and stuff. And we went to Vegas, okay? Like, we were drinking like Henny. It was a lot. And it was fun. Like, all of it was so much fun. Like, my whole wedding day was amazing and beautiful and fun. But I just really deeply regret that, because it's the one day that I had and it's over. And I spent money on the day. And I didn't really get to be present for every single moment. And it sucks. The photos are beautiful. We slayed. We ate it up. But it's still, you know. So anyway, just realizing that sometimes I think I drink when I'm happy. I drink when I'm sad. I drink when I'm angry. I drink when I'm celebrating. Like, I drink when I'm bored. You know, I drink because other people are drinking. I drink to be social. I drink to like take the edge off. I drink to like relax before people come over or while people are over. I drink like I just be drinking, you know? And it's not like it's like bottles of like Patron or anything crazy, but it is like a beer here, wine here, 2 beers here, 3 glasses of wine here. And it just feels sloppy, and I'm wanting to clean it up a little bit. I'm not saying I want to completely like stop drinking forever, but I do think that as I approach my 27th birthday, I want a clean slate, and I think I'm going to celebrate my birthday with that intention. So, you know, my personal new year will start with me not drinking alcohol in observance of my newfound sobriety that I'm going to try to accomplish. And I'm hoping I can do it. I'm hoping that I can stick with it. But I guess I'm worried that I'm not going to be fun anymore. Because, like, I'm fun to party with. Like, I love to dance. I love to, like, take shots. Like, I'm like, woo! Like, I have fun. And I'm not, like, crazy either. Like, I just really like to move my body. I like to dance. And I like to, like, drink a little bit. And it, like, makes everything so much more fun, so much more cool. And I feel like I'm funnier when I'm drinking because it's just like I don't have as much anxiety going on. Like, some of that stuff goes away, and then I just get to like really be myself with no filter, which makes people laugh, and I love making people laugh. And you know, so I'm like, oh God, like, who am I if I stop? No, go back to your room.
Well, I have to go potty.
Oh, okay, baby. I just feel like, you know, if I stop drinking, what does that mean for me? Who am I now? But yeah, I feel like I'm just seeking a lifestyle change, and I would really like to work on those aspects of myself. Another thing I've been trying to do is listen more than I talk. I talk a lot, bitch. I really like to talk. And it's really hard for me to engage in conversations with other people and not walk away feeling like, fuck, I like took over that whole conversation. And it's really, again, like, a lot of it kind of goes back to that ADHD piece where it's like, you know, all over the place. It makes it really hard for me to be present. And it makes it really hard for me to, like, do what I need to do. And then, like, you put alcohol in there and it just becomes messy and sloppy. And I feel like I've associated myself with alcoholism a lot. And I don't want that to be a part of my identity any longer. I think I want to separate myself a little bit. As I go on this journey, trying to be sober, you know, I'm hoping I can like maybe use this platform to talk about it a little bit for anybody else that might be struggling in ways that I'm struggling in. So yeah, like, I intend on just sharing a little bit about getting re-diagnosed with ADHD and getting on some medication that really helps, and taking care of my body, and setting appointments for my kids, and like doing those things that are really hard for me to do for some reason, so that I can be a better mom. And yeah, I would like to read something. So I've been reading this Brene Brown book, and it is called Dare to Lead. Yeah, super huge Brene Brown fan, but I wanted to read this. So she says, shame works like the zoom lens on a camera. When we are feeling shame, the camera is zoomed in tight, and all we see is our flawed self, alone and struggling. We think, I'm the only one. Something is wrong with me. I am alone. When we zoom out, we start to see a different picture. We see many people in the same struggle. Rather than thinking, I'm the only one, we start thinking, I can't believe it, you too? I'm normal? I thought it was just me. Once we start to see the big picture, we are better able to reality check our shame triggers and the social expectations that fuel shame. One of the most important benefits of reaching out to others is learning that the experiences that make us feel the most alone are actually universal. Regardless of who we are, how we were raised, or what we believe, all of us fight hidden silent battles against not being good enough and not belonging enough. When we find the courage to share our experiences and the compassion to hear others tell their stories, we force shame out of hiding and in the silence. When we don't reach out, we often end up in fear, blame, and disconnection. And I've just really been thinking about this section of this book right now and how this is how you quote unquote rumble with vulnerability, because I think I've been struggling right now with making mom friends, and I have this mom group that is just starting to really pick up some traction and get a lot of people on board. And I'm like, okay, how do I get us to relate? Because a huge problem with a lot of moms is that they don't have a lot of mom friends. And the reason why is because a lot of moms judge each other, and a lot of people aren't willing to really go there and let themselves be seen because that's vulnerable. And to be honest about how like, oh, I haven't had sex with my husband in a while and I don't know why. And like, he actually really wants sex. I just don't. And I don't know what that means because, you know, what? And like, oh, I'm seeing all these people online and their relationships and they look like they're happy and they're going on dates and we haven't gone on a date in a year. And like, oh, my body, and like, why does my vagina like look the way it does now? And like, there's a lot of things that we think and we feel, and it makes us feel inadequate, it makes us feel small, and we feel like little aliens on the planet. But like, that's why we need mom groups. That's why we need mom friends. And that's why we need to come together. And that is why I'm going to keep believing in my mission to bring mommies together and to find genuine connection and community and collaboration, because it's important. And I'm realizing just like how important it is. And so, you know, I'm willing to put myself out there and be vulnerable first so that, you know, if you stumble along this channel and decide, hey, I really like what this lady's doing and I feel a little bit more seen, and now I want to use the voice that I have and the platform that I have to also go out and rumble with vulnerability, then that's amazing. And I guess I just want to leave you with that of you're not alone, bro. And like, I hope that you find this video and you decide to subscribe to this channel and to kind of get a peer into my little world and of crazy, and that you find a home here and come be a part of the village. So anyway, I really thank you for watching, and until next time, this has been Mo Mommies Mo Problems, your podcast destination for all things mommy. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to my podcast, Mo Mommies Mo Problems. See you later.